You get to play as one or the other, yeah. Oh, right, okay. And you can make your own character, and then you go out and you get to get like a mission to go and break into like a bank vault or something. And when that happens, all the cops, you have like an all-points bulletin put out at you. And so if you're a cop, then you know what's happened, and you all come rushing to the scene. And there's gunfight. It's an online game. There's yeah. Oh, right, okay. I think it's only for PC, which is quite a strange choice. Because I thought they'd done it on console. I thought for Xbox Live and stuff it would have worked perfectly. Yeah. But actually, it's really exciting. I think it's really good to see, a fairly big studio and a fairly and to see a game with a lot of money put into it. Being brought out on a completely new concept, and it's not a sequel or anything like that, which is really exciting.
It's a new game.
The other new game coming out is the Space Marine game, which is basically the studio that made it, who did the Dawn of War games. They've I think they've done a really good job with the Warhammer 40,000 license, which is obviously an absolutely huge license. Loads of people are into that.
Oh yeah.
They made some fantastic RTS games, and this one is looks like a Gears of War kind of thing, third-person shooter, but I think it's got some role-play kind of elements in it, and you're a space marine and you're in power armor and you're wandering about with a big gun. So
who doesn't like that?
It looks cracking. Yeah.
Give me a power armor and a big gun and I'm happy.
Yeah. So those are two games to keep an eye on too, I think. And it's nice to see that it's not all sequels.
No, but the games that have been announced and will be coming out later this year pretty much are. Gran Turismo 5, just to do a final wrap up of all the other games, Gran Turismo 5 has been announced as 2nd of November for USA, likely to be about 6th November in UK. And to be blunt, I could do a full review of Gran Turismo 5 right now and give it its full score, knowing that not played it or played Prologue. It's going to have 6 billion cars and 23 billion tracks, and the graphics are going to be super sharp, and you've got downloadable TV content. And the thing is, why? I'm bored of Gran Turismo now. I don't want to play it. I don't want to drive a Daihatsu Copen for 3 hours and then upgrade it to a Ford Fiesta and then upgrade it to a Seat Cupra R and then upgrade it to a Vauxhall Astra VXR and then 39 hours down the line finally get a decent car and it's called a BMW. I want to drive a Ferrari, I want to drive a Lamborghini, I want to drive an Aston Martin, and that's why Hot Pursuit by EA is one of my most eagerly awaited games of EA. E3. I mean, my favourite racing of all time was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 for the PS2.
I'm not a racing game buff, but Need for Speed did push my buttons. I loved it.
I mean,
especially when I first played it in the arcade.
Be the cop. You can be chased back there, but your car got damaged, but you could only drive sports car. The slowest car in the game was a Lotus Elise, and you had the the CLK GTR, which is 200 miles an hour. You had the McLaren F1, and you had big shortcuts and chasing around. It wasn't city, it wasn't graffiti and upgrading and underground. You got in a car and drove very fast around beautiful locations. The Hot Pursuit game that's been announced is going to be fantastic. Gran Turismo 5 will just erase the fun out of games. And they took so much fun out of Gran Turismo 4 to the point where if you won a race, you got rewarded with a Model T. And you could drive the Model T Ford at 15 miles an hour round Le Mans or Nürburgring.
So
and take 3 hours.
Are you saying that you're not going to buy Gran Turismo 5 after being such a fan of the series?
I will buy it. There's no doubt about it. I will go to a shop and I will buy GT 5. The point is that
it's not gonna like set a fire under your butt, basically.
When it gets to the point where I can, because there's always a point in every Gran Turismo game where you end up having 1 million credits and you can go out and buy cars. Because Gran Turismo 2 did that quite well. You would race quite a lot of series. You get about 8%, 85% completion, and you'd go out and buy a car for fun. And I remember buying things like the 1967 Mercury Cougar, quite possibly one of the coolest cars ever made, or a 1967 427 Stingray Corvette, the coolest Corvette ever made. I mean, real life driving it, you would crash in a heartbeat.
I think I had that one on Gran Turismo.
I think the point you're trying to make is that you've done that and you can't see what this new one's going to bring other than what you've already done.
Bring fancy graphics and worse cars, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't want a high definition. What we've got, Daihatsu Charade, or I think I'm giving Daihatsu a bit of a hard time. I mean, what cars are? I mean, a Lincoln Navigator. You know, that's the big SUV for America, 3.5 tons, and if you push it, it'll fall over. Or a Hummer, top speed of a Hummer, 88 miles an hour. What's it doing in a racing game? It can't go off road. It can't go on road. In fact, it's one of the worst cars ever made. But
it's there for when you get your million credits and you want to buy a car for fun. That's what it's there for.
But I want to drive a fast car. I mean, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 had 38 cars. One of the most limited lineup of cars ever. But if you had the choice between Vanquish, Enzo, Murcielago, or Bentley Continental GT,
the answer to this question.
Yeah, it's like, you know, what are you going to pick?
You can choose one for me, Ross.
And it's just.
Point is, I tend to find I find with racing games, you find a car that you like, control, and you want to stick with.
You want to have fun.
I don't see why you would want to drive any of those ones. You just not the ones you just mentioned, but the ones you were saying were in Gran Turismo.
I mean, when Gran Turismo came out, you drove the Nissan Skyline, and everyone drove it. But what I'm really banging on about is I want games to be fun. I don't want to be so simulation that I have to take a corner at exactly 55 miles an hour. I don't want to exactly set my suspension. I mean, Formula 1, for example, I watch that and I think it's fun because there's a soap opera. I can't play Formula 1 because it's too hard to get the car set up. I mean, I don't want to put that much effort into it. I'm a casual gamer and it goes back to the move. You know, if I'm working a 10-hour shift, which I do with my real job, and I come home and I've got 2 hours before I go to bed, I'll watch the telly, eat some pizza, and then I'll go running around in Grand Theft Auto. I'll go and drive a fast car. I don't want to spend 15 minutes tuning up my car. It's like when I play Pro Evolution with the other guys. You know, they'll spend 15 minutes aligning their teams to the exact formation, making substitutions. You know, give me Bayern Munich. They might be the 98th better team in Europe.
I think that you've got to do that. I mean, this is going on to a slightly different subject. I kind of think now, and it's essentially the kind of a discussion between the Gran Turismo crowd and the kind of Burnout crowd, isn't it?
Because Burnout people are doing the Hot Pursuit game.
Yeah.
It's criteria.
You've got Blur out at the minute as well.
Blur.
People are interested in Blur.
Yeah. It's good, is it?
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Definitely got that.
It's got a very nice cover, I know that much.
It's all blurry.
I think I'll be buying it. Yeah, it's all blurry.
What else is coming out, Ross? What else is coming?
Well, Slipstream, or whatever it's called, the one that's going to Blur. But you were going to mention something there, I can't remember what it was.
Well, there's a new Zelda, and I saw the trailer for that, and it looks, I mean, we've all sort of, we've discussed that Zelda before. Are you into Zelda? No?
The games
I think we're the only 3 people who aren't into Zelda.
We don't play Zelda, we don't play Metroid.
I know.
And they're the biggest games Nintendo's ever had.
The only thing I can say from the trailer is that, I mean, I don't think it looks impressive, but the graphics look worse than the One Way of the Wolf. What was it called? The Twilight Princess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess people say this about Final Fantasy quite a lot, but
it's going to fly off the shelves.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's...
I'm not looking forward to Zelda, but then I know that every Zelda fan, but I mean, put it this way, my sister got me Final Fantasy 13 for my birthday, because I'm a Final Fantasy fan, and you know, if I picked up Final Fantasy 13 as the first Final Fantasy I played, I'd never buy another Final Fantasy again because it's rubbish. But I'm a Final Fantasy fanboy, so I'm going to buy it. I'm a Gran Turismo fanboy.
You keep going back because you're expecting a certain
I mean, I'm going to buy these games because I know that deep down they're good. They are good games.